Welcome to WePromo VIP, where we chat with top suppliers and industry insiders to bring you the latest in promotional products. Let's dive in.
When was the last time you helped a client celebrate success? In today's episode, we're very excited to be talking about recognition and awards, and that's one of the most powerful and profitable categories in promo. But unfortunately, too many distributors are overlooking recognition and awards. So I'm really excited to have John Gautsche from Apogee Commemoratives, and he's probably better known to you as Johnny G. But he's going to be coming on to tell how you can leave a lasting impression for your customers and school you on what you may be missing in this segment of the promotional product industry. Johnny G, so glad to have you with us today.
Marty, great to be here. Don't stiff arm me, but we're going to have some fun today, aren't we? Yeah.
We are going to have some fun. So let's jump right in. I mean, you're going to help our members understand the possibility of selling recognition and awards. So just how big is this industry?
Well, it's over $12 billion. And oddly, there's really only 7 out of 100 distributors that really concentrate on it, right? So we understand that print, promo, apparel dominates our industry, but that little category of recognition is the overlooked, but it's also often the easiest. But Marty, I think you know, right? It's easy to look at awards and recognition and think of it as a very complicated endeavor. But at Apogee, we always say, stop pulling your hair out. When the client says we're right in the midst of our 4th quarter initiative, our mission is to reach for the highest fruit. So we've got 4 people that we want to recognize. So We've been talking as a team, maybe we can get a giraffe eating an apple. Well, Marty, you know, the distributors jump into Sage and they jump into ESP and they start looking for a giraffe eating an apple. Well, 4 hours later, they realize that doesn't exist. Versus our 1,600 loyal distributors who will just send that email right to us, and tomorrow we give them 4 awards, So,
Oh, great.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so you're doing like design and virtuals for a giraffe eating an apple or any other crazy concept.
Right. Anything. And everything is built to order at Apogee. If you want to say everything is custom, that's a true statement. But our distributors realize that they have enough of everything except for time. You are searching for an order. You're looking for an award. You've got better things to do. Our business as distributors and marketers, right? It's creating invoices, and anything that takes away from that is just not very productive. So we've hit a sweet spot. Distributors love relying on Apogee, and so we create free virtuals. You never pay a setup charge. Minimum order quantity is always 1. And it's just a lovely setup, right? It's easy for the distributors to come to us and say, my client wants some awards. Can you help me? Yeah.
Right.
Here's some ideas.
$12 billion recognition and awards. That's a huge opportunity. And I hope, if nothing else, our members that are watching right now are thinking, okay, you got me for a few more minutes. How does a distributor bring up recognition and awards with their current customers? What's the process? What gets your foot in the door?
Right. For all the members that are out there watching this, they know what that client relies on them specifically to get for them. The trick with recognition is to ask those perfect probing questions, and they sound a little bit like this. So tell me about those award programs you're doing that you just love. How harmless, right? You bring it up, and every client that's out there is always looking for new awards, a new supplier, a new look. And boy, when they hear that, tell me about those award programs you love, they want to tell you about those award programs they love, but they end up telling you the stories and the nightmares of the
Right.
programs that just failed. So, they'll say something like, well, really, I don't do awards, but I know Jane in facilities, she was talking about awards. You need to ask those questions that just start that conversation about recognition. After all, it is your client's most valuable resource that recognition affects, right? The
Right.
cost of onboarding, the cost of keeping an employee. Often people will leave a job just for a couple $1,000s more versus those employees that constantly feel rewarded and thanked and appreciated. It's a very meaningful category. And
Absolutely.
when those members look around at their peers and they look around at their competition, they often look at these larger distributors and some of these distributors that have really a lot of street cred, a lot of credibility. They are doing recognition. But if your client has employees, right, they're buying this category.
Okay. I will say in a previous life, I was the guy in the corporation that all the departments came to and said, "Hey, we want to do a plaque or this or that." And I'll tell you, getting a partner that I could go to, we relied on a particular distributor over and over again. So I didn't mind doing it, especially if I knew I could get a good result. And it sounds like Apogee can be that partner and our distributors can be that connection. But the other side of it, I got to tell you, I would see all the time how, especially these salespeople, they seem like you are flipping a button on them, their motivation button, when they get called up in front of a big crowd and they're handed over a specific award that says, "You did a great job on this thing." They just light up, and that's a huge motivating factor.
It truly is. And you think about how the category is overlooked, yet how impactful it is. A great example of that is the client is having its year end banquet. They're thinking about all the quarter zips that they need and all the swag and all that. And then it's a week and a half before this huge banquet, and somebody turns to the person in charge of the awards and say, "So, do we have all those awards?" And that person's like, "Oh, yeah, you didn't get the awards yet." It's overlooked, not only by the people that are out selling recognition, but it's also overlooked by the people that are buying it. So, having that conversation and always keeping it in front of that client is so beneficial. And you never have to solve their problems. You just need to talk about it. And then once that conversation starts, saying things like, "Well, I can't wait to show you some updated awards. The next time I see you, I'm going to show you some real fun awards. Boy, oh boy, do I have some great ideas for some recognition pieces." These things get logged in their head because recognition really is for the employee. So even the person who's buying this recognition at the end user, they can't wait to see what's possible. I find it so fascinating that with these big categories of print, promo, and apparel, it's so easy for our members to lead with print or apparel or
Right.
promo. But leading with recognition, just starting the conversation with, here we are in Q4. I'm assuming you've got some recognition happening for the year end or things like that. Hey, keep me in mind. I'd love to show you some new. Leading with recognition helps you sell more apparel, more print,
Right.
more promo. It's really crazy.
So asking the right questions, I think that's a great thing. But who are the end users? What industries really seem to love recognition?
I tell you, it is such a wide group of end users because the easy identifiable end user here are any sales organization, right? Those sales organizations
Right.
like to put that peer pressure on that sales staff and look at so and so got another award and man, oh boy, I wish I could, or I haven't been in the $1 million club for a couple months, or
Right.
whatever that is. Sales organizations are very good. But any client, any end user that has employees are buying years of service awards, and eventually we'll get to showing some years of service awards because we've seen that category grow tremendously here at
Right.
Apogee.
So that's
Yeah.
that's a really great strategy because if you're going to do a years of service award program, that's just built in. You're getting more work down the road because every year you're going to have a new group that are hitting that 5-year mark, that 10-year mark, that 15-year mark.
Yeah, and there are members watching this that have very large clients that would be nationwide or even worldwide. And those large employers have to do years of service every single month because they'll have that 1 year anniversary for those employees, that 3 year anniversary, that five, that 10, that
Right.
15, that 20, every single month. And John Ziska, our owner, loves to tell the story about the first order he ever got for Apogee. And it was nearly 25 years ago. And it was $265. And he thought, well, okay, nice. But that was a years of service program, and it repeated every single month for 15 years. But many of those months, the larger
Wow.
that client got, some of those months were, $2,200 or $900. But to have a program like years of service. Now, there are lots of potential out there, even for those smaller employees that want to recognize their years of service just quarterly, right? Here's the list of names that I need, 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 15 year for this quarter. And the years of service is a great category. We'll circle back to that category as I show you some live samples, but
Love to.
another category is in manufacturing for safety awards, right? Um,
Huge,
ex-
huge opportunity there.
Especially in this day and age with the OSHA and how many days can we go injury free? So safety, safety tremendous. But of course, there are some undiscovered potential out there with clients with the intellectual property awards, the patent awards. If you're working with a tech company, it turns out that when they get a new patent, they list those 14 employees and they want to get those 14 employees something special. So, intellectual property awards. But then we have the run of the mill, mission centric awards that are, basically, again, reaching for the highest fruit or
Right.
teammate of the month and those kind of things. My goodness. Hey, Frank, I'm having a golf tournament and we've got 120 players. I need first, second, and third place for some awards. That's
Right.
a nice little entry into the business, right? Just golf awards. And who doesn't get the call? Can you help me with 120 polos for my golf event? Fantastic. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
What color are your polos that you're thinking about? We should make the awards fit that branding, right? So anytime you hear of an event, you should ask, who do I show award concepts for the event? Not can I sell you the award? And I
Right.
I think I think uh, a real strategy to understand is that the sales cycle, Marty, right, is quite long when it comes to recognition. It's down the road 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. So if if the members can think about keeping that sales funnel full, starting those conversations everywhere you go, eventually those opportunities drop out of that sales funnel. Hey, we're ready. Boy, those awards you showed us back in January, I know it's been a long time ago, but Jenny in Human Resources is thinking about doing something. She saw what you came up with. Can we get a sample?
Right. Again, as I talk to suppliers and to distributors that are doing very well, it's a matter of having the conversation and getting to know your customers. It's just as simple as that, asking questions and being interested in their business, and recognition is just one more thing that you can add to that list because, as you mentioned, they're probably buying the polos and the hard goods. They may not know that that distributor can even get them awards.
Especially if the clients are used to dealing with, let's just say, a uniform dealer for their massive employees, they don't think of the uniform dealer as somebody that can help them with their recognition. So that's a tremendous opportunity, because if you have enough employees and you have all these uniforms, guess what? They're buying their recognition from potentially your competition, but from somebody.
They're buying it from somebody because they don't know they can buy it from you. I
Right.
think that's something the distributors need to remind themselves all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for the distributor, he's never, or she has never done any recognition. So how do they get into it? What's the steps?
First of all, I would say your fear of failure is much worse than the actual failure. If you are worried about being the expert, that's something you don't need to worry about. We are the experts. If you know the difference between, let's say, a plaque and then a desk award, you are an expert, right, Marty?
Right.
Because just asking those questions. Well, in the past, have you relied on plaques, things that hang on the wall, or do you like the things that sit on people's desks? From that point, leave it up to us. Now, the real trick, obviously, for somebody who has never sold recognition and they make that big step and they have that confidence to bring it up, and the moment they get that conversation going, it should be strictly enthusiasm that comes from that salesperson that says, "Oh, great, give me a couple days, I'll send you some wonderful ideas." But also, when you mix in the language that sounds like, "This is fantastic," and the world of recognition has so changed its look. No longer is it always the walnut plaque with that brass plate. Now
Right.
we have things that are just fun and fancy, and I can't wait to show you what modern updated awards look like. Now, Marty, to that point, I want to stress this because we at Apogee have such a unique look to our awards. And when I go to trade shows and I see all the members out there, they are very used to seeing Apogee's designs, these very beautiful, zany, modern looks. I just want all those members to know that, yeah, we sell all that traditional glass. But
Oh,
when we
beautiful.
but when we sell that traditional glass, hey, we try to give it a little bit of a modern look, right? Yeah,
Right.
it's black crystal and it's laser etched and then it's imprinted. But, we make those things look different. Now, if they just want standard glass and they want standard crystal, we're a great option for that. But I always remind the distributors when they see us, all right, you see our 10 feet of awards. Just visualize 40 feet of basic plaques over there and 40 feet of crystal glass awards over there. We do all those. I don't need to show those because really there's really not much new in that whole category, in those categories of crystal and glass. Plus, Apogee we're very sensitive to budgets. We know
Right.
that, selling somebody a $290 crystal piece takes care of one person. But boy, for $360, we can recognize a dozen people. And having that conversation that sounds like, you know, we're very sensitive to how much money you want to spend on your recognition. So maybe I should start and show you items that are sub $100 because they still have a lot of wow factor, right?
Right.
It doesn't have to be expensive to look expensive. And that's another thing as we educate the distributors out there that they're not used to buying sub $100 awards, right? That $60 sell price to your end user would be, oh, that's exciting. Wow. Yeah, maybe we do recognize all the second place people too, right?
Well, that's a great concept. You got to figure out what it is, the price point, how the end user is going to be using this, what the purpose is. A lot of questions to ask. So, what's the best way for members to actually get these ideas in front of their end user clients? Is it virtuals? Is it samples?
I think so. We think so. What we hear from our loyal distributors is it's so nice to be able to email a PDF that has 5 concepts on it and say, no, here's some concepts. And by the way, Marty, right? In everything that is done in the promotional products world, everything that is done in this category, not awards, but it's all focused about branding, right? What
Right.
that logo looks like on that 3/4 zip. How does it look on the hat? It's all about branding and positioning and that logo and brand guidelines, except for what category, right? Awards,
Recognition.
you know, slap the logo on a piece of glass. Well, we're a strong believer that when people see things that are branded specifically for this one is Ashley for the arts, right? Branded specifically for them. Why? Then they've got theirself a nice eager client that wants to explore the possibilities. So I would say this is the standard operating procedure for vast majority of our distributors. They send us a logo and they say, my customer would like to see some concepts, or here's a logo. Can you put together some concepts that would be somewhere around the $80 net R cost, maybe $40 net R cost? If you want to throw a $120 net item out there, do that. I would sure like to show them a good, better, best.
I think that's a great idea, especially if Apogee's doing all the virtuals.
That's right. And we do face a little bit of extra work around here at Apogee by creating concepts, by looking at the logo, going to that end user's website and seeing their branding. Oftentimes we might get the brand guidelines right from the distributor. So our
Even better.
designers they can look and see their favorite colors. But when you're giving them a concept, and this happens to be Rocket Mortgage, right? They've got certain branding that they like to show, but they wanted something simple, something clean, and boy, look at how cool that is, right?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
got their brand colors all over it.
right. And while I'm doing that, that's just a simple plaque, right? Plaque. Did somebody say plaques? Plaques can look so different nowadays, right? You take a look at something like this and, that's going to cost about the same as an expensive panel with a beautiful etched plate on it. Or even a plaque that is as simple as this, look at how that brand stands out there.
It's
But,
beautiful.
this can stand by itself or it can hang on the wall. a plaque and a concept that does very well with us. It's just, something like that. Look at how simple that is, but it's elegant and it really represents that diamond competition. And I just love being able to show a salesperson some concept that really wraps around their client's branding.
Because it's all about making that end user happy with choosing
Yeah,
you. I think
right.
that's great.
Going back to the distributor that has not really entered this recognition space before, they're so used to, here's the concept, do you like it or not? Whatever. We encourage them to encourage their end users to say, here's a few concepts. What would you change to make them perfect? Right? After all, we consider ourselves at Apogee to be a graphics company, right? We're a graphics company that happens to fabricate in a wide palette of materials: wood, steel, aluminum, acrylic, simstone. The list is long. We can fabricate those materials. So when a client says, boy, I like that, but I think my boss is going to want to see more purple and he hates wood. Fantastic.
That's
I'll show
great.
you,
We've got it. I think that's great. So what else do our members need to know about working with Apogee and getting started with recognition?
I think the history of our company, I think the fact that, unfortunately for this company, I am the pretty face, but I'm surrounded by superstars, the people that have used us before. They've talked to Beth, they've talked to Jesse, they talked to our owner, John Z. They're just committed to taking care of the front door. We are partners. We have never sold direct, right? So when we get an opportunity from one of your members, there's an in-hand date that is very crucial, and we don't charge any setup fees. We would never charge you for a rush order. If you need something and it's 5 days away, we will say, yeah, let's push that through. Now, there
We've
might
got
be some,
something that will work.
and if your client really needs the awards, yeah, we can get them out. There might be some expedited shipping involved, but that's all stuff that we just, knowing that Apogee and our group of designers and the 24 people on the fabrication floor down there are committed to taking care of the front door. Customer comes in, and it's the most important thing for us to make sure. And so if there's members out there that have used us and want to share one of their success stories about the things that Apogee did, we welcome that, because the referral in this category is tremendous. And as an A+ Sage rated supplier, we're very, very proud of that.
That's very important. You
Yeah.
want to deal with a supplier that's not going to let you down. That's why we vet all the suppliers in our group, and that's why we're very happy to have Apogee as part of our network of suppliers. So before we end the chat here, Johnny, website, email, what's the best next step for a distributor to get in touch with you?
Right. If you're out there searching for apogeecommemoratives.com, you won't find it, but Google will point you to creativeawards.net. Okay.
There you go.
And we have one telephone number that comes into Apogee, and Beth, Jesse, John, and myself answer that. So if you are used to working with Jesse, but he's at lunch, Beth, myself, we can open up your folder and work that. But the best way to get a hold of us certainly is with a phone call or an email. I am john.g@creativeawards.net. And, you can find us in all the Sage and ESP links as well.
Absolutely.
And with multiple email contacts there.
So I want to encourage our members, get started, contact Johnny G, and let's get the ball rolling and grab some of that $16 billion sector. Don't let that slip by you. It's there
World
for you to service.
worldwide value of the recognition category, which expands in so many different places. But I wanted to leave our members with this. We know your pain, right? We know what you're going through. You can sell anything on the planet, practically. Anything that can get a logo, you can sell. When you are spending time looking for that certain award, we just want it. We feel your pain. Stop pulling your hair out. Let us do all the work for you. Let's make you look good.
Yep, you heard it, folks. Johnny G wants to do the work for you. Let's let him. Johnny, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate the time you spent training our members a little bit on the recognition space. So thank you so much.
Yeah, Marty, maybe I should also let your members know if they ever want to jump on a Zoom, if they have a sales team and they want to go through some of the more specific items that we do and what are our specialties. I do consider myself to be more of a sales manager, right, than a sales supplier, giving them the information to go out there and make a marketable improvement to that recognition portfolio. After all, like you said earlier, it repeats, it repeats, it repeats. Isn't that wonderful? They don't change up, much with awards. If they like them, they just keep doing them.
Johnny, thank you, and I appreciate your time with us.
This episode is brought to you by WePromo, the game-changing buying group for promo distributors. We're here to help you save big by scoring top-notch discounts with the best suppliers in the industry, and joining is totally free. Ready to boost your margins? Check out WePromo.net to explore our supplier lineup and see what we're all about.